Well, I think that travel has a big future because people have realized what's valuable in their lives and they want to experience things with their friends and with their families. And I think it's very educational to travel.
Can you talk us through the story of how you converted your holiday home into a world-class resort hotel?
I have quite, I think, an unusual story in that I used to have a fashion business, which I sold at the age of 50. And of course, I'd retired for 2 days and I thought, well, what can I do? So I said to my husband, please, could I build a little guest lodge in the bush because we had the land and we hadn't done anything with it. And build it so that we could have guests and that when we arrived there, we had wonderful staff to look after us. And having had no experience whatsoever in the travel industry, he said, yes, anything to keep you busy. And I built Royal Malewane. He's actually a frustrated architect, so he helped me with the drawing, but we had no architect, we had nobody helping us at all. We put in all our own pegs, we brought in water, we brought in electricity, we put in the roads with our head ranger that we knew from the area, and we built 6 separate units with a unit on the side for us and a unit on the other side to match it. And we built it, and I'll never forget, year 2000, we opened the doors, and I had no guests, nothing, didn't know anything about tour operators. And, it was just my luck that it was a rainy period, and Singita and Earth Lodge phoned me and they said, could you have our guests because we flooded out. So that's basically how I started Royal Malewane.
That's such a wonderful story. But I mean, you're really missing, one aspect. And I have been lucky enough to stay in the Royal Malewane, which was one of the great travel experiences of my life. And it is just so luxurious. And you were so ahead of your time in terms of the design and the luxury. Talk us through, I mean, you've said you were in fashion. Was that your secret?
Well, I've always loved traveling myself. And so I thought to myself, as I did every room, what would I like? And of course, I drive everyone mad because every single room is completely different in every one of our hotels. I don't buy 2 of anything, except maybe the baths I do. But if you, as a woman, can sit and think, what do you need? A hairdryer in this space, a pen in that space, a light that shines on your book so you can read without disturbing your partner. Just little things like that make all the difference. And of course, in the beginning, I did collect the most amazing furniture from all over the world. But now, with our latest endeavors, I've been doing everything locally because I want to support the local industry.
Which is fantastic. And I read somewhere that you regularly sleep in each room and then change it sometimes and change the designs. Is that right?
Well, yes, it is correct. Whenever I visit our properties, which is a lot, I always say, no, I want this room or that room because I haven't been there for some time. And then, of course, it needs updating all the time. And, we have wonderful guests, but they do put their greasy hands on your silk chair or your cushion or whatever. And boy, it's a full-time job, keeping it looking smart and up to date. And
so I mean this with the absolute greatest of respect, but you do sound like a lioness. I mean, when you go on a safari, you learn that really the lions are the big guys, but the lionesses are the ones in charge. You sound a little bit the same, Liz.
Well, you'll have to talk to my staff and my family about that. But the staff always tell me as soon as they know I'm coming to a property, everyone rushes around making sure everything's in its right place because I'm the only one who's allowed to buy anything. Because if you have your managers or people on your property adding stuff, it never looks the same because
Doesn't work.
It just doesn't work in my view.
Wow. Now you haven't let us into your secret of how you design those rooms when you start. I'm waiting for it.
So now the interesting thing is I've never had any training. So I'm probably a bit unconventional, but something sets me off. Sometimes it's a painting or a carpet, and I'll look at the colors and then that sets me off, and everything goes around it. Either the carpet that I've made into a headboard or that I put on the floor, or as I said, a wonderful painting or fabric. Often I buy lots of fabric. When I see beautiful fabric, I buy the roll. And when I look at it, the colors in the fabric, or sometimes I'm looking in my garden and I see all the fabulous colors. And I just put any color with any color, and somehow it just works. And when I'm doing a room, I always have something fun in it, because you must find fun and laughter where you're staying. And then I always have something antique, because that brings the depth into the room. And then I was told by my mentor many years ago, Rolf Kroll, who passed away, I don't know, about 8 years ago, but he always said to me, if you have something good and you put it next to anything else that's good, it always fits. And I always remember that. And I live for color because it just makes me happy. I do love to go to a place that's all white and beige, but I can't do that myself.
Isn't that interesting? Because I actually design interiors as well, and I'm all white and beige. So I looked at yours today, and the producers, we were all looking at it, and we were just in awe. But I think it's a real skill. You've got, one room that's yellow, another green, then you've got red. That is amazing. Truly amazing.
Well, I'd love to see some of your rooms, and I would appreciate them, I promise you.
And look, I wanted to ask you, it's well documented that your properties are frequented by celebrities, and they're very super rich, and not just once. Bono has stayed multiple times, Elton John, Michael Jordan had stayed there, Richard Gere. The list is endless. Why are the super rich and celebrities so attracted to that part of the world, let alone to your properties?
Well, firstly, I think because of the unique positions, it's easy to get to, and we're not overcrowded. And if you just think of going to the wonderful France or Italy or London or New York, you can't move with traffic. And I think the space is something that does attract people. Secondly, our staff are never allowed to ask for a signature. They're never allowed to ask for a photograph. So I think our celebrities feel that they are very safe and secure. And of course, we're small, very small private hotels, and nobody from the outside can really get to us.
Have you got any quirky stories that you can share with us? Any unusual requests from any high profile people? You don't even have to tell us who they are if you don't want to.
Well, seeing that you mentioned Bono, I have to just tell you that one day it was Africa Day, and we said to him, oh, would he like to join the rest of the guests in the Bono for dinner? He said, yes, he'd love to. So after dinner, our staff get up and they dance and sing. And Bono got up and he sang and danced. And the Irish, they love to sing after dinner. And he sang, and he had his cap on backwards and his glasses on. And we had two English ladies there. And the one lady leaned forward when he sat down, and she said, well, young man, at least you can sing. She had no idea who he was. And that, to me, I'll never, ever forget the look on his face. And I'll never forget his two dear ladies. They were racehorse breeders in England. They had no idea who he was.
Where do you go to get away from it all?
Well, I love to travel, and you asked me, is it luxury that I like? But I love the mixture. And as our children were growing up, we used to pack our Land Rover with our tents and our food, and off we'd go into Botswana for 2 weeks and camp in the middle of nowhere. And how fantastic to watch the sunset, climb into your tent with your family.
How wonderful. And tell me, when you do design, I'm thinking about the silo, which is a relative, your newest property. How do you actually start? What's the process? I mean, you've got this property, and I mean, we know where it ends up because you're an amazing, amazing designer, but where do you start?
Well, the silo was probably the most difficult because we were given a white shell by somebody else. So Thomas Heatherwick, the very well-known industrial designer in London, he did the museum, Mocha, underneath us, and then we in the lift shaft above the museum. So we got a white shell from him. Those windows are so exciting. They bulge out 1.5 meters. So if you stand in the window, you can look down, you can look to the right, you can look to the left. You see the harbour and everything that's going on. The boats coming, the yachts coming, the seals popping up and down, the birds flying past. Yeah, and then just to conclude with the silo, they put together a fantastic collection of modern or contemporary art, African art. We have like 350 pieces, and a lot of it is also in the museum.
How perfect. Just sounds wonderful. How is the issues of sustainability? What's the impact of the big five on sustainability? Because we don't really understand that here in Australia.
Well, you know, the big five, they're unique in the world. And I think that's the draw card to South Africa, first and foremost, because where else can you see them? Only in a zoo, which is a fake situation. So I think that we are extremely lucky to have that draw card and to have the open space and the weather to go with it. And, you know, every guest that comes to us, they help us look after the environment. They help us to feed the people in the area because we're always buying their produce. We're employing them, we're teaching them, we're educating them.
But Liz, with all of your years' experience and wisdom, how do you see the future of travel in South Africa?
Well, I think that travel has a big future because people have realized what's valuable in their lives, and they want to experience things with their friends and with their families, and they want to learn new things, and I think it's very educational to travel. I also think that they're looking for places where they can stay longer and do many experiential activities, and we are all very experiential. We have the bush where you can walk, you can drive, you can experience the animals, you can do tracking with a master tracker. We have Birkenhead House, which is a sea experience. You can go out on boats to see whales. You can do the most incredible walks through the fynbos and learn all about the fynbos. And then La Residence is in the middle of the wine country. And there you can learn all about wine, but it's also the gourmet capital of South Africa. So if you're not interested in wine, you can eat in like 56 different fabulous restaurants in the small town.
The food, I can attest, the food in South Africa is out of this world and very different to the food you find. Even the type of meats, as you know, the way that it's sourced and processed is very different to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But Liz Bynard, you have created one of the most luxurious family-owned hotel businesses in the world. As I said, I've been to 2 of your properties and I absolutely adore them. You are well positioned to answer the question, where to from here?
Well, we are currently working on a new property, and it's up in the Greater Kruger area, about 45 minutes drive from Royal Malewane. And we're very excited about it. And it's in a beautiful position on a lovely dam with beautiful fever trees. So we're just trying to find the name of it at the moment. But we're going to be opening on the 1st of June next year. So most of the furniture I've already got in my storage, but we're just putting all the finishing touches together. And after that, we're going to do a tented camp. So we're going to have Royal Malewane tented. very small, only 4 huge, very luxurious tents. And so that's all our immediate plans.
Wow. I have to ask you before we go, what is your secret? I mean, you've got the youth and energy of a 30-year-old. How does that work?
Well, unfortunately, I said to my children, I'm never going to retire. You're going to have me around till the day I die. But, I have such wonderful staff and help. And as I say, my son is now the managing director, and he and my husband do all the things I hate, like budgets and future bookings and graphs and all those awful things. So they've taken that all away from me, and I just have fun. I have the lovely part of putting things together, visiting the properties, of checking on the staff, tasting their new dessert. That's why I can never be thin. Because when I walk into a property, they say, oh, we made your favorite cake. And I can't say, no, sorry.
That's rare. It is very difficult traditionally, particularly for generational families, to work together, let alone your marriage. What are the secrets to making all of this work?
Well, my children sort of in the older years and the sort of later teenage years used to listen to Phil and I talking all the time about what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. So from the beginning, they were part of us. And the oldest and the youngest were both bankers in London. My daughter's still there, married with her own 3 little children. And my son, after 6 years, phoned and he said, I'm coming back. I'm missing everything. So, and I'm joining the company. So, of course, it was the greatest joy that he came and joined us. And he's now the managing director. And he has a financial background like my husband. So now I have my husband on this shoulder and I have my son on this shoulder. And I'm the only one that spends money and buys everything. And the 2 of them, they watch me like anything, and they say, why are you buying those 2 expensive cupboards? And I say, because when you see them, you have to have them. And I have 3 enormous storerooms, and everything goes into these storerooms. And when we're doing a property, I am in there seeing what can fit where. And it always has its place somewhere. And I just want to congratulate you on your program. I've watched all your other interviews, and they're all such fun and interesting. And if you've done such different properties and different people. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate you saying that. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Don't forget to subscribe here and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for regular travel updates. You can also hear our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.